Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships in our Saturday edition video, where today we're going to be doing an upgrade and commander build on the Tier 7 Dutch cruiser, the Eendracht. So before we hop into looking at the modules, upgrades, consumables, and the commander, we're just briefly going to look at the ship real quick in terms of armor and what type of ship we're dealing with here. So the Eendracht is indeed definitely a light cruiser. She's got these nice 152mm guns that have an 8-second reload time. And then she has, when we look at the armor here, you're going to see very quickly how much she really is a light cruiser. You got some 16mm plating. Get to the superstructure, it's 10. You get down here to the stern, it's actually got some 20mm plating, so a little bit better for kiting, as an example, a little bit more tough in that sense. And you got this casemate armor of 50mm. Now, we take things away. As soon as you see the Citadel, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, this is the Citadel. So the Citadel of the Eendracht, it extends, like I was talking about yesterday, all the way from and before the forwardmost front turret, and then all the way past the furthest rear turret. So you can easily get Citadel. Another interesting thing is that the armor is kind of sloped. You can see it comes up a little bit higher in the center. So it really becomes slightly above waterline here, or above waterline, where here it's more at waterline. So you will definitely be eating damage if you are showing broadside. So that's why it's important to try to angle, especially when you're kiting away from targets. You're going to find yourself doing a lot in this ship. You might be able to land some shells off this 50-75mm plating, which helps you stay in the game that much longer. All right, so modules. So starting off here, you've got your standard. There's no preceding module upgrade here. Your 150mm turrets. You have 10 guns in total, 8-second reload time with a 180-degree turn time of 22.5 seconds. When looking at the hull, you definitely get a survivability, AA defense, and maneuverability upgrade when we come through here. The most significant of those being the AA defense. But going from 28,800 health to 32,600 health is indeed nice. But having that AA defense be at a total of 80 is nice right now, and we can even boost that up further. And we'll talk a little bit more about the AA on this ship. Looking at the gunfire control system, your stock is 13.4k kilometers. You're going to get up to 14.8. This is definitely going to help, but I usually 99% of the time always get the advice. Start off with your hull upgrade first, because you tend to get more health, and that is the same case scenario here, before going for the guns just to get that more range. In the meantime, while you may be waiting to grind this up, you have spotting aircraft, so that's going to help you out. And then you have propulsion without the Sierra Mike flag, 85,000 horsepower, giving you a maximum speed of 33 knots. Looking at the upgrades, to me, the only real clear winner here is the main armaments modification. It reduces your risk of main battery from becoming incapacitated, improves your main battery survivability, and if your main battery should become incapacitated, the repair time is reduced by -20%. You also have auxiliary armaments. This is for increasing survivability of your secondary battery and AA mounts. You have no secondaries on the Eendracht. You can see just main battery. And then AA, you do have a decent chunk of AA on the ship. See if it gives me a little bit of information here. Or let's just look at the ship, shall we? Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's what I was actually trying to see. You got these 40mm Bofors. So you have 17 of them. As we go across the ship, you can kind of see they're like everywhere. So they're really good. But the thing with the AA on this ship is that it is 3.5 kilometers. So it's very short range, but it's a very strong AA. You'll definitely be knocking out tier 6 planes from the sky, like you saw me dealing with the Russian tier 6 CV, the Serov, in yesterday's video. And bottom tiered, if you're facing tier 8 CVs, probably going to be a lot more of a difficult situation. I don't see the need for this because your AA is so short. Magazine modification reduces the risk of magazine detonating by -70%, But if you've been around the channel long enough, if you're playing ranked random battles, clan battles, I'm going to recommend the Juliet Charlie Combat Signal. It completely eliminates the risk of your ship's magazine detonating. If you're doing something like co-op or just one of those random game modes that comes across from time to time, I don't see the need to mount Juliet Charlie Combat Signal. These two, we're not going to touch on those. They don't really matter on the ship, in my opinion. Mileage may vary. You have your standard damage control system modification 1. Risk of catching fire, -5%. Risk of flooding, -3%. I actually was messing around with this, and I had it mounted in yesterday's video. But then I demounted it, and I switched over to engine room protection. I was just testing things out. Really, this skill is much more for battleships or battle cruisers or heavy cruisers that have a poor concealment and can easily take a lot of damage. Where you're going to find engine room protection much more on destroyers and light cruisers, because you need to keep your maneuverability and your speed going. This is really important. If I had the coupon, I'd actually pick up Hydroacoustic Search Modification 1. What this does is that it increases the action time of the Hydroacoustic Search by 20%. So right now it's at an action time of 100 seconds. So we can add 20 seconds on, so it'd be 120 seconds long. So you can just simply click on this guy. It's going to take you into the armory where we're going to be able to see these special upgrades here. And with the coupon, which mine is currently in process of being down, we'll be back up in 11 days from this video, you can drop this down to 12,500 coal instead of 17,000 coal. So I definitely recommend this using the coupon when you pick these up. I always make sure to use it once a month. And yes, moving on to the third upgrade slot, you have main battery modification 2. This increases the main battery traverse speed. Right now it's at that 22.5 seconds. I have not found it terrible. It's worked all right for me. I'm just conscious to make sure I have my guns facing the direction that they need to be whenever I'm maybe turning or going to be going in opposite direction in the Eendracht. But it's all right, in my opinion. You also have AA guns modification. This improves your AA efficiency in the AA sector preparation time, and prioritizing your AA sector is reduced by -20%. To me, it has seemed all right. Yeah, preparation time 10 seconds. So it really comes on that line that much quicker. So I don't feel the need for this. Aiming systems modification 1. The only thing that this is helping is our main battery shell dispersion. It's reduced by -7%. So basically it means is that our dispersion, maximum horizontal dispersion and our maximum vertical dispersion is reduced a little bit. We're a little bit tighter in our shell grouping, and I always like the accuracy, especially if I'm playing more at range, 14.8, and then you have a spotting aircraft going. I like that little bit better of accuracy. So that is just me personally, so that is what I take. In yesterday's video, I'll talk about what I had, and then I played Eendracht last night, switched things up, because I'm still getting used to the Dutch cruiser line. But first off here, you have the damage control system modification 2. This reduces the fire extinguishing time and flooding recovery time, or accelerates it, I should say. So you don't burn for as long, you don't flood as long. Again, this is something much more you're going to see on heavy cruisers, battleships. And I don't really recommend taking this on a light cruiser. Yesterday's video that you saw, I had the propulsion modification 1 mounted. This is a very good standard light cruiser upgrade to have. I like it, especially when I'm having to cut away. I've been highlighting in more of my videos lately of, you don't just go full throttle or stop. You play with the throttle. You speed up, you slow down, maybe you start reversing, then you speed forward. So this upgrade is very helpful in that scenario, and I really like it. And I realized that, I have not tried out the Airstrike Modification 1, because this skill is actually really nice. So if I give you a quick breakdown on what it does, it improves or reduces your armament reload time. Your aircraft of the Airstrike get more health. And then you also have depth charge damage, but we don't get depth charges on the Dutch cruiser line. Wargaming thought that this was enough and that you don't need anything else to deal with submarines. So the difference, there's two differences here, okay? So when you look at the aircraft health pool, when you do not take this upgrade, it is at 1,940 health. Here you can see we have 2,425 health, okay? And then the reload time at the very bottom is 64 seconds. If you do not take this upgrade, your reload time is at 80 seconds. And you saw that in yesterday's video. And I was sitting down thinking yesterday to work on doing this video, and then I realized, oh, I've not taken this upgrade yet, and it's meant especially for this line in mind. So then I need to test this out before I can feel confident in giving you an upgrade commander build of this video, or on this ship. So I played a random battles last night, and I took this, and I really like having the airstrike modification 1 over the propulsion modification. To me, it's focusing much more on your attack, and that having these airstrikes come up that much quicker is really nice, because you only get one available flight at a time. As you go up the line, you'll get 2 to 3 at a time, but only having one. When you're waiting a minute and 20 seconds for it to come up, you really notice it. But 64 seconds is like, oh, it's back already. Like, to me, just it had that much of a difference in my mind. So that's what I went for. You also have steering gears modification 1. This reduces your rudder shift time. Maneuverability right now, our rudder shift time is 9 seconds. So if you take this upgrade, it's going to get you somewhere around 7 point something seconds. And to me, I would recommend airstrike modification 1 and then propulsion modification 1 second. Now, I have a caveat with this. Let's say you like the line, but you have a very difficult time landing the airstrike. Then it might be that propulsion modification 1 is for you, because the airstrike modification, it's just a small square on your screen, and so you have to have a good sense of where the enemy ship might be turning to be able to land these accurately. So if you just struggle, you don't like messing so much with the airstrike on this ship line, then I would recommend you going propulsion modification, because it helps you juke salvos, and talking a little bit about that open gun boating I was talking about. But this ship is really meant to be bladed behind islands if you can help it, but you can do reasonable damage, and you can be reasonably all right out in the open as a tier 7 light cruiser. If you're facing tier 9s in bottom tier matchmaking, you're going to have a little more difficulty doing the open gunboat role. Consumables, you have your standard damage control party for a cruiser, action time of 5 seconds, reload time of 60 seconds. Here on the planes, you have spotting aircraft. This improves your main battery firing range by plus 20 seconds. It has a action time of 100 seconds and a reload time of 240 seconds. So you're waiting a very long time for the spotting aircraft to come back up. And we're going to talk more about this one here shortly. But this helps when you're having to kite. Let's say enemy team's pushing into you. You need to open up the distance between them. It's really nice. You also have fighter. The consumable action time for this is 60 seconds, and you get 3 flights. The thing that I prefer spotting aircraft over the fighter is that your action radius is only 3 kilometers, which means at that point the enemy CV is indeed going to get his strike off on you before your fighters engage. And because of your AA defense only being 3.5 kilometer. So it doesn't actually get beyond that. But this 3.5 kilometer AA bubble is very strong. Very strong, as you saw in yesterday's video. But again, we were dealing with tier 6 CV. So I've preferred spotting aircraft. It's been really nice. And then hydroacoustic search, we talked a little bit about that in conjunction with the upgrade in slot 2. This is really nice to have because you can pick up torpedoes 3 kilometers away, detect enemy ships 4 kilometers away. In yesterday's battle, we didn't have any destroyers, so I don't think I even used any of these. But when I have destroyers around and I have to play that, oh, all my destroyers are dead, and now I have to push the cap, and there's an enemy destroyer around here somewhere, this becomes a lot nicer, especially when you can increase the action time with that upgrade in slot 2 from 100 seconds to 120 seconds, basically 2 minutes. So it's nice. So recommend those two together. In terms of the commander skills, last night I was doing some preparing. I have there's 2 special commanders. I don't know how to say. We'll go to the army real quick. I'm going to show you. I have one on the Harlem, if I'm saying that one right. It's the tier 8 Dutch cruiser. And then I have this one I picked up last night for 1,500 doubloons. Michiel de Ruyter. So you can see how we have both of them. So in the video you saw, I actually had this guy mounted. This one is available for 35,000 gold. This one's available for 1,500 doubloons. And I like picking up these commanders with these enhanced skills because with Demolition Expert, we are increasing our chances of starting a fire. Very nice. And you also get an enhanced skill here with the Focus Fire training. So improves your AAA gun and airstrike armament characteristics. So you can see priority sector reinforcement plus 35%, and a further reduction on our airstrike armament reload time by negative 10%, and we get an additional explosion in our AA salvos. So I like this guy, so I went ahead and picked up his copy and paste counterpart. You might find that you like that on this line because of like yesterday's video, I started 15 fires. And I think it was over 50,000 damage or 45,000 damage was by starting fires and ships burning. So that's where you can find this commander at. So I do recommend picking him up. So looking at the layout here, this is a 10-point commander build. So we're going to start off with Last Stand. If your engine or steering gears get incapacitated, your ship still remains partially able to sustain speed and maneuverability when you master this skill. And it's really important in a light cruiser because last thing you'll be is dead in the water or just simply doing donuts in the water. So this is a must-have on the light cruiser of the Eendracht. For a 3-point commander, you can go either way. For this 2-point skill, I went for Demolition Expert first to increase the chances of main battery starting fire. It's 1.5% instead of just 1%. So to me, anything helps with how good your fire chances are with the ship. It's 12.5%. I mean, yeah, there's ships with higher, but this is actually really nice considering your every salvo you're throwing 10 shells. That each shell having a 12.5% chance of starting a fire. So by several salvos, you're starting a fire at an 8-second reload time. So I went for this first. Or you could go for priority target if you're a player who kind of needs that situational awareness of how many enemy targets are targeting your ship. You could pick up priority target. I am just working on my situational awareness and seeing, looking around, using free look, seeing if anyone's shooting at me or if there's a battleship located, detected, and I see his guns aiming at me, and then I know he's aiming at me, even without priority target. So I wanted to increase my fire chance starting out. 6-point commander, Adrenaline Rush. This is going to reduce your main battery reload time, your airstrike armament reload time, and improve your continuous AA damage as you lose health. So each 1% of health pool lost. So I like this, and that will even help your reload time of your main battery, like it stated, where you're getting down to maybe 7 seconds, 7.3, just depending on how much health you lose. It just goes down slowly but surely. For a 10-point, I went with Concealment Expert. With camouflage on the ship already, that gets us down to 10.4 detectability range by sea, 5.4 kilometer by air. So to me, this is important. I'm not going for a lighthouse build where it's an anti-concealment build, and I wouldn't recommend a lighthouse build per se on the Eendracht. But we're going for more of a concealment build. So when we have to play the role as destroyer because our destroyers are died and I need to push into a cap, my concealment's that much a little bit better. After this, there are several. I think there's 2 main ways I think in my mind where you could go when I was looking at this last night. After this, what I am wanting to do, I'm just going to show you, and then we're going to talk through each of the skill. This is the route I am wanting to go. And so I'm going to break through each skill of why that is, and which one would I take next after 10 points. After this, it's really going to be up to you if you're wanting to do this build, and I'll talk about each skill and its importance. Probably what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go for Eye in the Sky first. What it does is that the spotting aircraft consumable reload time is negative 50%. So instead of waiting 4 minutes for your spotting aircraft to come back at 240 seconds, you're only now waiting 120 seconds. And instead of having 4 spotting aircraft, you get 6. The downside to this is that the action time, instead of it being 100 seconds for the Eendracht, it's 50 seconds. But there are times, even when I was playing last night in random battle, I'm like, oh, I don't need my spotting aircraft now. I wish it would go down and start the reload cycle, cooldown time. And I could have it back up again because the enemy ships are just too far away after we finished off the one pushing us. So this really helps, in my opinion. So that is what I intend to go for. Probably after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the focus fire training. This reduces your airstrike armament reload time by -10%. And you can also see that the priority, this is an enhanced skill. So it boosts our priority sector reinforcement by plus 35%. So if I unclick that skill, you're going to see priority sector reinforcement 50%. But we click it, it goes up to 85%. So that means our AA battery is reinforcing like the port side, the starboard side of our ship that much greater, which leads to more damage. And then you get that additional AA salvo explosion. So that's nice. And then probably after that, I'll go for the Superintendent. The main reason it's not so much for the spotting aircraft that I want this, it's for the hydroacoustic searches. So, and this is more personal preference. I would like to have more than 3 hydroacoustic searches. I'd like to have 4. My play style is that I am playing to live until the last half of the battle. So if I burn for 2 or 3 hydroacoustic searches and then there's still an enemy destroyer at play, I want to have that additional hydroacoustic search on hand. This again just goes down to my play style, and that I would want to because I know that I try to live to the last half of the battle, because in World of Warships, that is where it can be make or break for you as a player. For example, last night I was playing the Italian cruiser, the Tier 6 Trento. It was me versus a New Mexico. He was on the opposite side of the map, and 11 seconds on the clock, or a minute on the clock, he shows up, and the enemy team's ahead on points by 300 points almost, I think it was. And I had less than a minute to kill him, and we killed him. And we only had 11 seconds on the clock left. If I had not lived to the last half of the battle, that battle would have been a loss. So that is an example of why I like to play for the last half of the battle, and you're going to see that replay some point soon. You also get the additional spotting aircraft, so you actually have 7 in total with these 2 combined. So really nice. And then the AA defense and ASW experts. It's really the AA defense what we're going for here. So if I unclick this, our continuous damage is 586. Click it, 703. So I think it's actually rather good at tier 7. However, again, the AA is only 3.5 kilometer, but if they come within that 3.5 kilometer, you're going to be chewing them up rather quickly. And you can also see we do even more damage from the AA shell explosions as well. So enemy carriers do not want to eat flak around you. So for me, the Dutch cruiser line kind of embodies this. Good at setting fires, you have the airstrikes, and then also good AA, even though here on the Eendracht, it's literally 3.5 kilometer firing range. Your AA stock, even without these 2 skills, for example, is better than the Helena, the tier 7 American cruiser, light cruiser, if I remember that correctly. I checked that out last night. So this is the build that I'm wanting to run. Alternatively, if the spotting aircraft isn't a big thing for you, you could simply just drop the eye in the sky and pick a priority target. Because this skill tells you how many enemy ships are currently aiming at your ship with their main battery guns. So if I wasn't picking up eye in the sky, or the skill didn't exist, I would definitely be going for the priority target skill here. Now, I was thinking a little bit more of, let's say you don't really care about the AA on the Eendracht as an example so much. What would something else be that I would recommend? Now keep in mind, you're giving up a 10% reload time on your airstrike armament. But let's say you didn't care for those 2. What I would do then is I'd probably pick up RPF, or radio location. So this will tell you the nearest ship located in the proximity of your ship. So let's say you're hunting a destroyer who has better concealment than you. It's going to give you a clear indication of where he is. So I'd recommend picking that up in that example. But I'm not finding myself too much having this problem of needing this skill. It's just if you wanted to give up the AA. And then maybe you pick up something like Eye in the Sky here. Or if you really want the RPF and you still want a little bit of reload time, you could pick up like this. That's just another example. It could be you don't care about having 4 hydroacoustic searches. We could drop that. And what would I say in exchange? I had something in mind. Oh, memory. Maybe it's something. No, it wasn't that. It might have been. I was thinking about survivability expert. I honestly don't really like taking them on cruisers at all. You get additional 3,150 health, bring you up to 35,750. In my opinion, with light cruisers, when you get blapped, you get blapped. And survivability expert is meaningless in that scenario. If you get caught out broadside or, Musashi is shooting at you, that additional health pool is not going to really help. Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it something like that as an option. The other skill I was looking at last night just for my own mind when I was trying to think through different recommendations I could give you all. You have top grade gunner. It's a permanent effect of your secondary battery reload time. And remember, we don't have a secondary battery reload time on the Eendracht because we have no secondary battery. What this skill does is it goes along with a lighthouse build. Increases the reload speed of the main battery if there's a visible enemy ship within your ship's standard detectability range. Changes to ship detectability caused by firing main guns, fires on board, and other combat events are not taken into account. So then, basically, when you pick this skill up, you don't want a concealment expert. You don't want to run a camouflage on your ship because you're trying to make your concealment as much as possible to make this guy work. And I don't think Eendracht is the ship for that. I recommend against it, but you could disagree with me, and maybe you want to try it out yourself. But for the purposes of what I would first and foremost recommend, I'd recommend going something like this. If you don't care so much for the spotting aircraft, then go for something like this. If you don't care so much for the A defense, like you could switch over to radio location, deal with those destroyers, and I think this would still be viable. I just don't like when carriers are focusing me down, so it's kind of nice to be able to work more with a little bit of an AA build here. So I think that's going to bring this video to a close. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.